I don't know if the public is aware of this, but our staff is amazing and our public works is amazing. There are so many people that work behind the scenes that make everything work. We don't think twice about it when we flush a toilet or turn the tap on or the street lights working or those things. So these people really are the city and they make it work.
Welcome to Herrimanology,
the official podcast to keep up with Herriman City.
We'll take you inside the city, explore the latest news and updates, show you how your government operates, and discuss the issues that affect us all. Now, here are your hosts talking all things Herriman on Herrimanology.
All right, welcome to Herrimanology. It is Wednesday, March 12th, specifically Wednesday evening.
Yes.
We just got out of the city council meeting. And small miracle, it's light-ish outside.
Yeah, well,
still.
I think daylight savings time helped us a little.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But still, it's not even 8 o'clock, and here we are doing the podcast. So I'm John LaFollette, Communications Manager, joined this evening by Councilmember Teddy Hodges, District 2. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Yeah, excited that we got out of our meeting early, which was great. We just had a lot of quick work this afternoon, and we didn't have a lot of things on the agenda, so it was nice.
Yeah, pretty quick and easy. So part of the reason we're doing this Wednesday instead of the normal Thursday is I'm gone for the next week. So looking forward to that, but wanted to make sure to get a podcast episode, even for a shorter city council meeting. Let's talk about maybe first a voting item. We've mentioned it a few times, but now it crossed, at least as far as the city council is concerned, a finish line, a bond for some capital projects. Maybe just a reminder on what that is, how it may or may not impact people, especially financially. That's a question that often comes up. Are these bonds going to cause extra taxes for me? Maybe if you wouldn't mind walk people through that.
Yeah, so really quick, no, it's not going to increase taxes. It's not going to cost you any more money. What we do is we are bonding for future revenue that's coming in. What happened in the past was we entered in some agreements that we weren't getting enough fees or revenue on. We did change our fee structure and our impact fees, so hopefully that will not continue. So we just saw some holes that we needed to fill, and we want to be a responsible fiduciary city and pay our obligations when we need to pay them. And we were getting into a crunch period where we saw that we weren't being able to. So we, as a city council, we took it under advisement from our staff and from our financial director saying, hey, this is the proper way to do it. And so we are pulling out a bond, and we're bonding for $20 million on this first bond. And we have about 17 plus million allocated, but there's some issues. If you don't hit the number exactly, then you have to go through the whole cycle again. So we overshoot, but we're going to spend that lower amount and bond for that, and then pay these obligations and take care of our capital improvements. Some of the money is going to future projects, and so it's going to pay for some road upgrades and some other items that we've been lacking on some road maintenance and some issues like that. So
one of the major projects, at least for this bond, is the first, really the third phase of 6400 West.
Yeah.
People on the northern side of the city will be excited for that. And it's only half of it, so it doesn't get you, it'll extend north from 126th Herriman Boulevard northward toward 118th, but it won't connect yet. But we're hoping in the next year or two that will start to make some progress.
Yeah, and we have some other organizations and entities coming in to helping with the further extension of that. There's some county money coming towards us, we believe, and we got some so a bridge area and stuff. So it's pretty exciting to see those roads finish. That you're like, oh, there's going to be a road there someday. Well, that someday is getting soon. So.
Yep. One other thing from the general meeting, not a voting item, but a recognition of, in this case, some city employees given awards by the APWA, American Public Works Association.
Yes.
That was pretty neat.
Yeah, so I don't know if the public is aware of this, but our staff is amazing and our public works is amazing. There are so many people that work behind the scenes that make everything work, and we don't think twice about it when we flush a toilet or turn the tap on or the street lights working or those things. So these people really are the city, and they make it work. Those employees that got the recognition tonight and the awards: Jonathan Bowers, Michaela Harris, Eric Blackett, and Austin Cook. And they all have different titles and different jobs, and they got all different awards in those areas.
Shout out to all of my coworkers.
Yeah.
So good on you. Keep up the great work, and a lot of other city employees just do a lot of good hard work.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if you guys need something from the city, call downstairs. They'll answer the call at the service desk, route you to the right person, and we'll get it figured out pretty quick.
one more discussion that I thought was interesting in the work meeting was the introduction of an idea about mini flex spaces, or I forgot what the name was, but an idea to basically help startups and smaller businesses operate in commercial zones. Maybe if you can kind of give an introduction on that idea.
Yeah, so we've identified some areas in the city that are zoned commercial, and we don't have a good fit for them. They don't fit in a C1 zone, C2 zone. All our areas of commercial have different zoning requirements, just like residential zones. You're able to do certain businesses in certain types of zones. We don't want to put manufacturing right next to preschools or daycares or schools or residents, so we have those on the farther areas of the city. Same with industrial, same with commercial zones. Some commercial works great in neighborhoods like shopping centers and grocery stores and those things, but having workspace or incubator space for these business startups, and you want to get it out of your garage or your basement, or you want to be closer to home, we're seeing that might work. And so we saw a great presentation on an idea or an option for a space, and we have a couple of spaces that it'd work great in. And so we'll see what that looks like. But it will require us looking at our zoning code and probably adding in a C3 zone is what proposed. It's still all not written out yet or put on the verbiage or paragraph or language yet. But we will get that and figure out if it's a good use. And we'll figure, yeah.
So you'll, at least the end of that discussion was kind of targeting a day to talk it over among the city council and the planning commission. Just kind of brainstorm, get some ideas around, make sure everybody's on the same page, and see if it's something that's worth pursuing and maybe adding as a land use in our city.
Yeah, we definitely want to be proactive in getting business here, and we've kind of limited certain types of businesses, so this will open that back up, and getting the planning and zoning in here where they get a lot of that up front, and they're saying, oh, can we do this? No, not in that zone. So having a little bit of latitude and ambiguity to that zone might actually work. So yeah.
And one other thing, last week on Herrimanology with Mayor Palmer, we talked a little bit about development and how it relates to infrastructure and how much say the city has in, can we require X amount of roads or maybe extra lanes or something before we can improve more housing? And the short answer is no. Mm-hmm. There are some asterisks to that, and I wanted to clarify just in case we confuse some people. So they're basically almost kind of two boxes you can put these in. So if a subdivision of, let's just say housing in this point, in this case, comes in, if nobody else is really anticipated to use the roads within that subdivision, the developer is going to cover the cost for those roads. But if it's impacting a road that other people outside the subdivision use, they're still on the hook to pay for part of the improvements to that. It wouldn't be fair to make them pay for all the improvements, nor would it be fair to make them pay for none of the improvements. So the method for that is through impact fees, because it's paying for impact across the city.
Correct.
So those are kind of the two ways. Either the developer pays for 100% of the roads inside their subdivision if they're not what we call system improvements, kind of the wider perspective of the infrastructure, or they pay the city impact fees, which the city can use within the bounds of state law to improve public infrastructure. I did see a question. I was going to use it for a question of the week, but I can't find it. Okay. So I don't know if it got deleted or if I'm just looking in the wrong place, but I did want to credit the person who wrote it, but I didn't get your name, so I apologize. But they were asking kind of in that vein, so does the city not have an ability to require infrastructure at all, or water, or pay for parks or police or fire? So the answer is no. Like, we can require things like that.
Correct.
So we were talking about transportation impact fees, where they pay for road improvements. But we also, as a city, charge park impact fees.
Correct.
And fire and police and water and stormwater. So they're kind of those different buckets, and those funds are restricted entirely to be used
for improvements of that system.
exactly. So we can make them pay for things like that. The theory is that new growth should pay for the impacts of new growth. It, in reality, doesn't always work that way.
No.
The impact phase are often short of what it actually costs,
Correct.
which is kind of a tricky situation. But that's, as far as state law goes, that's what we can do.
Yeah, and we want to be fair to our citizens that are here, and we try. Our fee schedule is always behind the cost because it's several years between inflation and cost increases and material increases, labor increases. All those things happen while we are in a review of building fees and impact fees. And then when we get the new schedule out, it starts, but then we're behind again. So there's a lot of things that the developers are doing to mitigate that, which are come along with their own unknowns and nuances with public infrastructure districts and PIDs. So new growth is paying for new growth and infrastructure at the time of development. That's why you can see our newest developers and newest developments actually putting the roads in and putting the amenities in, putting the parks in, and the houses are coming almost secondary to that, which is amazing. And so that's how building should be. It's not how it was. And so moving forward, I think we'll be ahead of the curve, and we'll see that in a few years come to fruition, and it'll be awesome. So
yeah, and and you kind of alluded to this, one of the tricky parts of the impact fee method, if you will, is those impact fees are paid to the city when a house is built or when a business is built, but so the city doesn't collect that money until the buildings are built.
And it goes in a piggy bank that we can't use until we have enough money to buy the $1 million road.
Right.
And we needed it 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
And costs have gone up in that time. So
Yeah.
you kind of see the tricky spot the city has been in, and really any city. This is not unique to Herriman.
Correct.
So public infrastructure districts are a newer way of funding where the developer kind of, and in conjunction with the city and the county, set up a kind of a formal entity that can, I'm really oversimplifying this, but basically put up a bond up front, pay for infrastructure up front, and then
for today's dollars, today's roads,
and then over time use fees or even taxes from that very specific
from that
localized
community
area to pay back that district that has set up the bond for that infrastructure. So again, very oversimplifying it. It's much more complex than that, but that's kind of how it works ish. So hopefully that didn't confuse people more, but government finance and infrastructure, it's really complex, but that's
it's definitely not like a household budget. It's definitely when you first get in here as an elected official, it's like trying to understand it. You're like, this isn't correct, but we don't get taught municipal finance or government finance. And if you did take that course in college, bless your heart. And if you're not a public official or working for a city, bless your heart more. But it's definitely a own little finance thing, and our finance director is top notch, one of the best in the state, if not the best in the state. So we're pretty spoiled here to have amazing employees, winning awards, running the cities, and it's great. Our team's awesome.
Yeah. So if you have more questions about that, which you may, feel free to ask us in any comment section or via email, communications@herriman.gov. This seems to be a topic people are interested in, so we're trying to explain this bit by bit. Okay, well, that's probably good for this evening.
Yeah.
Councilmember Hodges, thanks for staying late.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening and watching. And as we mentioned, leave a comment or a question, and we'll be happy to address it. And we'll say good night. Thanks for listening and watching.